Well, this Vitamix is 11 years old and it's had considerable use. Uh, the potentiometer was getting a little tired. It wouldn't hold speed. It would float up and down. So I changed that out. And I thought at the same time, let me go ahead and put new brushes in it because I was going to be giving it to my son as he just moved out. And this goes into how to change the brushes on the 5000 series Vitamixes because there's a few videos, but nobody really shows in detail how to do it. So I went ahead and we'll show that in this video. And towards the end of the video, I'll go over a little bit of what I did to change the potentiometer, but there are better videos out there for that. Okay, this is how to change the brushes on a 5000 series Vitamix. Now first you need to undo the cord and take off all the little cord holders. They just screw off with a #1 Phillips. And then there are four bolts that need to be removed, there and there. And then this plastic cover will just lift out. Now if you look inside, right there is the brush, and there's the corresponding brush on the other side. You need to remove that hex bolt and that one. Here's the brushes from Vitamix. I'll pop this open, we'll take a look, make sure they're the same part. Okay, here's the replacements. They look to be the same. So let me just pop those out. Now the first thing you want to do is remove that wire right there. Now you can see I've already removed it on this one. You pop that off, and it's best to get some needle nose pliers and just give it a little pull. You pop that off, then you unscrew it, and then you rotate it out. Here you can see I've got the hex head screw removed. Right there, that's gone now. I'm not showing you this because there's really no way to easily film it. And right here, there's a little tab. It's rounded on the bottom. So what you do is you rotate the brush out like that. Give it a little twist, it should pop right out. There's the brush removed. Here's the old brush. Now these aren't that bad, so I'm just going to pop this back in. I was just rebuilding this before I gave it to my son. But there's so much left on that brush that I'm not even going to bother changing it out. I was expecting it for the number of years we've had this to really be worn down, but that's comparing it to the new one. It's maybe got 1/8 of an inch gone, so it's fine. We're going to drop it right back in. Okay, there you can see the mount, and to put it back in, this is where that little rounded tab goes, is right in that slot right there. So you just drop the brush in, rotate that in, and you're good to go. Here's that rounded tab that just fits in the slot. So you just pop that in and drop it. And there it is back in. It is a little fiddly to get it in, but a couple of tries it drops right in. And there's no doubt about it being in the right spot. Like I said, it indexes right there. And you just roll that rounded tab in there, and it just drops into place. Now you put the hex screw back in, and the final step is reconnecting the spade terminal. And there it is with the hex screw back in. The brush is, for all intents and purposes, mounted now. It's up against the armature. There's a spade terminal. We're going to put that right over that terminal there. And you will need needle nose pliers to do that. You just can't get your fingers in there. So you will have to have that for it to fit. And there it is, all buttoned up, ready to go. You can see this spade terminal is attached to the wire, the wire's attached on the spade terminal. This is tight, and we're locked in over here and the brush is up against the armature. So again, to review the way to do this, undo the spade terminal right there, remove your hex screw, and then over here on the left there's a tab right there. It's a half round tab. You just rotate this out and that will come out fairly easily. And to put it back, you just do that in reverse. Press this against the armature, rotate that into the slot, reinstall the hex screw, and then hook up the spade terminal. And the brush is changed. And the procedure is the same on both sides. They're identical. It's just reversed, but it rotates in the same way. Now we'll go ahead and button this up and test it out, make sure it runs. I'm going to put the motor cover on. You can see the index mark. It's indexed right on that semi-round piece right there. And that's it. Now it's just a matter of replacing all the small screws in the 4 holes surrounding it. I'm not going to show that. One thing to note on these screws is these are not going into threads. They're basically a self-tapping type screw. They're going into the threads that they've made into the nylon reinforced plastic of the Vitamix base. So just go gentle when you start those. You don't need to rethread them. And then just snug them slightly. Because you can strip these out if you get real strong with them. So they just need to be tight. And now we'll do the cord retention pieces, and they have the same type of screws, so you have to be careful. You can see here they are indexed with this square, so just make sure they're facing the right way. And we'll go ahead and do that. Here you can see the little square that just indexes. Well, you can see now it's the back of my hand, but that just indexes on the top of that. Same screws that hold the motor cover plate on. So when you put them in, just get them snug, but don't go crazy on them. And that's it. It's time to just wrap the cord up and just give it a quick test. Yeah, the potentiometer change is actually fairly easy, but I didn't really think about making a video until it was already done, so that's why I covered it a little bit at the end of this video. But again, there's lots of videos out there that show it in pretty good detail, so look at one. I had done one true repair to this prior to attempting the brushes. I replaced this potentiometer, which is the speed control, because it wasn't holding speed. It's fairly simple to replace. There's just a nut on the outside. You just pull the speed control knob off and access the nut, and then just push it through. And then you follow these wires around through the loom, and they connect to these 2 terminals here and there. And then you just feed the new one through the loom. Just follow them through. And then tighten up the potentiometer. There is a index mark. You can kind of see it right there on the top. There's a little tab where that index is. So just make sure that gets in the tab. And that keeps the potentiometer from spinning as you turn the speed control knob. And then I reinstalled the factor zip ties there and there, just leaving enough room so that they could reach the terminals. Real simple to repair. The only trick on this is there are some rubber bumpers on 4 sides, and those sometimes will come off when you pull the top off, but they just lift and go slip right back on. So just make sure don't have one of those laying around the workbench or the kitchen when you're done. And then you just slip the top back on. And it's a snug fit. And then at the top you've got, well, I've got to clean this up, but you've got, again, some self-tapping screws. These are stainless. And these are a number 2 Phillips. So you'll need a number 2 Phillips for these. And they just drop in there. Like so. And then you tighten those up. I think you can see why now I cut out all the parts of removing and putting the screws back in, because there's really nothing more entertaining than watching a guy put a screw into the top of a Vitamix. Not easy to do left-handed while holding a camera. Well, I'm trying to do this without editing, so it may not work. And just snug, quarter turn. Anytime you've got this plastic, it's snug, quarter turn. Snug, quarter turn. Snug, quarter turn. And that's the next step on is putting the drive socket back on. You can see there's a set screw here, and that corresponds with this hole right there. So just drop this over, give it a turn. There's a little index right there. You can see it right there. Just line that up, and that will line up the set screw hole. And there you can see it. Let me put some light on it. You can see it right there. It's lined up. And that's really all there is to changing the drive. That's it. And you can strip these set screws out fairly easily. So just again, snug, quarter turn, and you're good and tight. Clean this up before I put the rubber cover on though. Okay, that's a little cleaner. Now the last thing is just slipping the rubber container plate, and it just drops over each of those posts and just slips down, and then it just snugs right over the drive socket. You lay that down. Good to go. Good as new. Okay, so here's the list of the tools that I needed to remove the brushes on my 5000 series Vitamix. I needed a number 1 Phillips to remove the power cord retainers and the bottom motor plate. a 1/4 inch nut driver, which I just use this combination screwdriver, and then some needle nose pliers. The 1/4 inch nut driver is to remove the actual screws that are holding the brushes in, and then the needle nose pliers are to remove the spade terminals from the brushes and to reinstall those, because the spacing is a little tight. They're easy enough to do if you have needle nose pliers, though. Oh, and at the end of the video, I did show reinstalling the upper cover, and went over how to change out the potentiometer. And the upper cover, you need a number 2 Phillips for the stainless steel screws that hold the upper cover on. And then you'll need a, what is this socket? Looks like a 5/64 Allen head to do the set screw for the drive hub. So that's really all you need for that. And then needle nose wouldn't hurt to pull the spade terminals. But that's it. Now there are a couple of things I should mention. There are lots of other videos on how to change the potentiometer and how to change the brushes, but nobody really showed how to get the brushes out. And there's a lot of little minor variances on the Vitamixes. This one is from 2007. It was rebuilt when I purchased it. There were some things inside that were a little different. One of the videos mentions that you can just remove some heck bolts from under the top here once this is off and this cover's off, and that will allow you to drop the motor out the bottom. But those hex bolts weren't present. They were actually threaded studs on this motor, so there was no way that motor was coming out the bottom. Now I don't know if that's a result of this being a rebuilt unit or what, or if that's just a manufacturing run. But there was no way to drop the motor out of this unit unless I put some double nuts on those studs and did a lot of work to get those studs out. And there really wasn't any need. You can get the brushes from the bottom by just pulling the motor plate out and then doing it the way I showed you. Again, I don't know if it holds true for all 5000 series, but it held true for this one. The part that I got from Vitamix is a genuine Vitamix part, so it should hold true for every design that that part matches up with. And again, it's not that hard. It's worth doing. As many hours as this Vitamix has, I was surprised when I pulled that brush out and it was in such good shape. The only downside is it's got a little bit of noise now from the armature, because I changed the location of the brush a little bit, so it's going to have to run that brush in to get rid of that little sweeping noise it's got that it didn't have before. But that's just because I pulled the brush out and it's not fitting on the armature exactly the same. That'll wear in and that noise will go away. So hopefully this helped you out. It's one of my first videos, so hopefully I was able to show you. I didn't show the unscrewing because I wasn't going to set up a tripod and all that crazy stuff just so you can watch me unscrew a screw. But I did show you the order that they need to be removed, and hope that helps out. Enjoy your Vitamix.